Here we are. Heel Turns and High Spots coming at you with an AEW Dynamite review, the June 22nd edition of AEW Dynamite. And pretty good show, but before we get into all that, of course, personal Twitter right here, and the account Twitter's right here. And yeah, let's get right into it. We got a lot of AEW news, but, most of it was addressed on the show, so I guess I'll just get to those when, I get to it. First things first, Bryan Danielson comes out. It announces that he is going to be out at Forbidden Door and Blood and Guts. That's a huge bummer. Me and Freeman, we are going to Blood and Guts, and Bryan Danielson is my favorite wrestler, so that's a huge bummer for me. But, we got some good news on the other side. He said there's good news and bad news. Obviously, the bad news is he's going to be out. He said he found the one person he trusts to take his place at Forbidden Door against Zack Sabre Jr. and Blood and Guts against the Jericho Appreciation Society. And, the crowd is like, who? Who? And he kind of mocks him a little bit. And he says that he's a bad guy, so we'll have to wait until Sunday to find out who he is going to be replacing him. And it sounds like this member is also going to be in the Blackpool Combat Club as well. And then after that, Zack Sabre Jr. comes out and, they chirp at the ramp for a little bit. Like I said, this is a huge, huge bummer for me. But, when it rains, it pours. That's what I said last week. A lot of people out, and there's even more to come. I don't know what's in the air, or if maybe, wrestling has, reached a peak where it's gotten too stiff. I don't know. But here we are. We got so many people injured. It's kind of crazy. And as far as his replacement goes, I wasn't actually watching Dynamite at the time, so I didn't even know this happened. Freeman texted me. I was out hanging out with some friends. We went up north for a little bit. And he tells me that he's going to be out. I'm like, man. And then he says that he thinks Claudio Cesaro is going to be replacing him, and I'm like, man, if Bryan Danielson says that he wants a technical wrestler, I mean, you can't really get more technical than that. He also told me that he has Regal connections, and he's littered in Mox's book, so that's all from Freeman, and pretty cool. I would definitely be down for that for sure. And Cesaro in the Blackpool Combat Club, I feel like he would fit like a glove, so that'd be sweet. After that, Jon Moxley cuts a hell of a promo. Not even going to try to reiterate because you guys have to see it for yourself. But he cuts it on Tanahashi in the Jericho Appreciation Society. It was really, really, really good. And I give Moxley time to talk, and he's gonna definitely make it worth it. After that, we had Orange Cassidy and Roppongi Vice versus Will Ospreay and Aussie Open, and we all knew this was going to be a good match. Every single wrestler in this one, even the two I wasn't familiar with in Aussie Open, are very, very good wrestlers. At least to my, I guess, uneducated eye. Cassidy gets a good pop when he eventually gets tagged in by Trent. And, they're just working. Cassidy's doing his thing. He's doing his lazy gimmick. And both teams get spots in where they do simultaneous moves. Aussie Open with moves on the apron, and Orange Cassidy and Roppongi Vice with dives to the outside. It was pretty cool. Orange Cassidy does kind of like a jumping stunner on Will Ospreay out of nowhere, and Will Ospreay sells the hell out of that. It was really cool. He stuck his arms out like he was knocked out for real. That's really cool. Orange Cassidy breaks up a pile driver after a flurry of moves of both teams. And Orange Cassidy eventually wins with the Orange Punch, and the Pixies play throughout the arena. Both teams have a stare down after the match, and FTR comes out. And, it's going to be Aussie Open, FTR, and Roppongi Vice at Forbidden Door. That's going to be a banger. I'm really expecting great things for that match. FTR never puts on stale matches unless they're up against the Acclaimed or something. Nothing against the Acclaimed, but they're not 5-star yet. When it comes down to it, this is going to be a very good match and just one on a very, very stacked card. After that, Jay Lethal and the boys cut a promo on Samoa Joe. They want that Ring of Honor television title. Love it. Ring of Honor's not getting the. They don't have like a weekly show. I haven't even heard anything. I've heard talks, but nothing past that. So I don't know how that's getting along, but it's getting the time on the television, on AEW television, and it's cool. I feel like that's a good way to get some Ring of Honor eyes on AEW by putting Samoa Joe, the title holder. At first, I was kind of weirded out by Samoa Joe holding like a not very prestigious title. Like if you just want to go down on the line. I've gone down that line several times on stream. I don't feel like I need to do it again. But yeah, it's not a very prestigious title. But hey, you put Samoa Joe on it, it'll get the TV time, So I feel like that's a good call, and definitely had to open my eyes for a little bit to come to that understanding. After that, we have Christian in ring with Tony Schiavone, and I have in my notes here. I was excited for the heel Christian, and this definitely lived up to my expectations, man. This was crazy. So first of all, man shows up in a turtleneck. Yeah, so that's when I knew some shit was gonna go down, because nobody wears a turtleneck without getting prepared to do some shit. And so he starts off by immediately working the crowd, saying like, I'm not going to start talking until you guys shut up, and, eventually shuts them up by saying, shut your damn mouths to a sea of booze. So first off, he mentions the Casino Battle Royale, and much like MJF, this was very MJF-esque promo, or maybe even MJF getting some promo skills from Christian, some old school Christian. But he says that he wonders why the crowd cheered when he got eliminated by the Battle Royale, because it impacted his career, of course, and he's a babyface or whatever. And so that's a good point. And this is when the crowd starts chanting, shut the fuck up. And yeah, JR says this is live, which is definitely true. Really can't do much about that. He says that he wants to do minimal work and get a paycheck. He doesn't want to try to elevate younger talent. I think he's past that. And then he goes on to Jungle Boy. And he says that he doesn't have a killer instinct. And the one time that he didn't give him pre-match advice and walk him down to the ring, he loses the titles. Which, hey, if that's facts, that's facts. I don't know. It's probably facts. But then it gets then it starts to cut deep a little bit, right? He mentions Luke Perry. He starts off by saying that he knew that Jungle Boy looked up to him like a father figure, but Christian never wanted to be Jungle Boy's father or father figure. And then he mentions Luke Perry and says that Luke Perry would be very disappointed in the man that Jungle Boy has become. Wow, that cut deep. Sea of booze. Man, that was I haven't heard that loud of booze in a minute, and of course it cut very, very deep. It's even awkward for me just saying it right now. But yeah, after that, Luchasaurus comes out and starts to choke Christian, like hand on neck choke in the corner. Christian says, stop, you're hurting me, whatever. And then Christian says he's like a son to him, and that they need to talk in private. And this is when Luchasaurus kind of starts to calm down a little bit, and Christian starts to lead him back to the back, but we see a smirk from Christian, very visible smirk, and it's looking like he's still up to some fuck shit, which, cool. This is very, very interesting. AEW is very, very good at giving you reasons to tune into next week, and this will be one of the reasons why I will be there live, other than, this, of course. But, oh shit, and next week is Blood and Guts. I will be there live whether I want to or not. Anyways, but you know what I'm trying to say. AEW is very good at getting those storylines across and making us care. Then there's a Young Bucks segment backstage, and they're like, everybody's wondering if the Young Bucks are going to be at Forbidden Door or whatever, and the Young Bucks Young Bucks say, of course they are. You know, they're the key holder. They crafted the key to the Forbidden Door, and they'll be there. And then they turn it to Kyle O'Reilly, and he is pissed, of course, because they took out his partner. And he says that if his hands weren't registered as legal weapons, he would, sue, essentially. So that's, Kyle O'Reilly getting a laugh pop out of me, a comedy pop out of me. So there you go. After that, we got Penta versus Malachi Black. I was watching with my girlfriend, and I was showing her Malachi Black's entrance because I think it's very, very cool. And then Penta came out and she's like, scary guy versus scary guy, and I'm like, yep, I guess so. I mean, this is a very odd feud from the get go. Two teams that look very, very similar. Every single person dresses in black on both sides. But hey, it gets it across. It's very clear to the watcher who's the heels and who are the baby faces. But to the people tuning in, sporadically, maybe it's not so obvious to them. That's just a small note. So it starts off with Penta taunting, as he usually does. And then after some grappling, of course, Penta hits a backbreaker for 2. After that, they joust on the apron and reverse each other for a little bit. Malachi Black hits a spinning back kick, Penta reverses something into a package pile driver, and then Malachi reverses out of that into the ring, and then Penta hits a rolling cutter, which looked beautiful. After some more grappling, Penta hits an avalanche fear factor, but Malachi Black gets his foot on the ropes at 2. And then Malachi Black hits a spinning back kick out of literally nowhere for 3. And then, it was a decent match for sure. But what I did notice that Malachi Black was on the back foot most of the time. He got those 2 spinning back kicks, of course. But, he was definitely on the back foot most of the time. And it seems, why is it, maybe it's just that Malachi's a better defensive wrestler. I don't even know if that's like a separation thing. Like some people are better at selling, some people are better at, working. But yeah, it definitely seems like Malachi tends to be the underdog. Not visual underdog, but if you look at like sequence to sequence, he tends to be losing most of the time in his matches. I don't know, just something I noticed. Very odd to me. After that, we got Elias Young versus Hangman Page. Very, very good match. And right off the bat, Elias Young, I didn't know who he was. Like I've been saying, I don't know most of these New Japan guys except for the big names. So I didn't know this guy, but man, he's a very, very good grappler. Specifically grappler. And it seemed like most of the crowd actually knew him as well, but he was getting some chants. When they were doing some dueling chants, Elias was definitely getting the louder chants compared to the cowboy shit chants. But yeah, after they get into it for a little bit, Hangman Page hits a lariat on the outside and then a moonsault. Then, when they get back in the ring, he hits a superplex and a flying clothesline for 2. Hangman hits a release German and a lariat for... Wow, I didn't realize how short this match was until I just looked at my notes. But yeah, after that, Hangman hits a release German, a lariat, and a buckshot for the win. One thing that I didn't put in my notes for some reason is that Elias did this kind of like John Morrison-esque falling springboard kind of twist thing. But it was very cool. Hangman moved out of the way, but it definitely caught me off guard because he doesn't look like the guy who would be pulling off those kind of moves. But hey, more power to him for sure. Adam Cole says it's story time with Adam Cole. And before he can get another word out, Jay White comes out. Jay White says it cannot be Adam Cole because he lost to Hangman twice. And I just love to think that like Jay White has like a notebook or something, and he keeps records of all of his potential opponents. You know what I mean? Well, like so he can make educated decisions on who he will face. And I don't know if that's like a running thing with Jay White, but I love how he's doing it in AEW. He's like, well, you can't do that because you lost to him. Very, very entertaining to me. I love that kind of stuff. Where do we go? I lost my spot. All right, so then it goes. He also says it won't be Hangman, and Hangman starts to beat him up before Adam Cole hits a low blow, and they both start pouncing on Hangman. Adam Cole looks like he's about to hit Jay White with the title, but then there's a coin drop. Okada comes out to a huge pop and holy shit chance. Very, very, very cool to see Okada in AEW arena. Um, this isn't a serious note, but it is a side note, and I'm not really taking it too seriously. But I think the purpose of Forbidden Door would be like, is it like a one-time thing? But hey, it doesn't seem like it. I don't really care personally, but I have been seeing that a little bit. Uh, I don't know, just a funny little note. But yeah, after some fighting, the babyfaces are left in the ring by themselves, and the heels retreat as they normally do. After that, we cut to backstage, and we got yet. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back like 30 seconds. They're going to be doing a fatal four-way between Okada, Hangman, Jay White, and Adam Cole, which will be a very, very good match, and I expect Jay White to retain. Now we can go to the baddies. Red Velvet's hurt. You had another injury. You absolutely hate to see it. She was just growing on me. I never disliked Red Velvet. I just kind of felt that she kind of felt out of place a little bit in the baddies, but now she's definitely getting her style together, or was getting her style together. And yeah, you really do hate to see it. And I was really enjoying her work up to this point, and I can't wait until she's back. Stokely Hathaway makes Tony Schiavone do a drum roll and announces that there's going to be a baddie search. That's cool. I guess I don't really know what the semantics of it are, but they're searching for another baddie. So I guess look for those tryouts in your city. Those baddie tryouts. I'll be there. I'll be in the Detroit one, so keep an eye out for me. After that, after the commercial break, we got Chris Statlander and Athena roasting the baddie search, and they're just kind of laughing with each other. It was cool, and it was very, very cool seeing the new Chris Statlander shtick. It's very her alien gimmick. Obviously, it's not that hard to see that it was kind of people love Chris Statlander. This new human gimmick, I don't even know if that's what I should call it, but her new normal gimmick is I'm really into it, and I really dig her personality for sure. And I can't wait to see it shine through other avenues. This is like getting a whole new signee, right? We never really got to see Chris Statlander's promo ability or that personality shine through with her old gimmicks, and I was like, okay, we get a fresh new Chris Statlander. This is awesome. But yeah, definitely into what they're doing with that feud for sure. And kind of out of pocket, but just seeing these names next to each other, Chris Statlander versus Athena would have been a great match. Is probably going to be a great match whenever they do it. If they ever do it, that would be a great match. After that, we got Marina Shafir with Nyla Rose. I must have missed something. Versus Toni Storm. And, Nyla Rose will probably be good for Marina Shafir. It's not a secret that, she's not the most attentive. Let me reword that. She doesn't get people's attention very easily. I word it that way. But know who does? Nyla Rose. Nyla Rose is awesome. And, maybe some of Nyla Rose will rub off on Marina Shafir because I thought she did pretty good this match. Honestly, I seriously did. And when I say that, I don't want it to mean I don't want to come off the wrong way because I have never stepped in a pro wrestling ring in my entire life. So once again, think about this as just some guy on the internet's opinion. I'm not saying that my opinion is wrong. I'm sure that I've said some dumb ass shit on this podcast before, and just like in terms of like ring psychology, or if I find somebody entertaining or something like that, I probably said some stupid stuff where if like Road Dogg, I don't know why that came to mind, like sat me down and was like, this is why you're an idiot. I could expect that to definitely happen. But in my opinion, I wasn't really digging Marina Shafir. And I do know that's not an unpopular opinion in the internet wrestling community, But it was very obvious that Marina Shafir is a very, very good grappler. She just needs to put the pro wrestling pieces together. She was like flowing, through those transitions when she was transitioning to armbar to like the clinch. But yeah, I felt like they did a great job this match because whenever Tony Storm did get out of a hold by Marina Shafir, like I popped a little bit. I was like, oh sweet, because it was very obvious that Marina Shafir was the definite better grappler, and because of that, it just felt more important. It felt like a big deal when she escaped the hold. So I do believe that Marina Shafir could probably do something pretty cool in AEW if she just puts the pieces together in terms of entertainment, in my personal opinion, um, and I guess the opinions of others as well. But after that, Tony Storm hits a running hip attack and then gets the roll up for the victory. A pretty short match, but it was mostly Marina Shafir either grappling Tony Storm or chasing around on the outside, and Tony Storm kind of trying to get that one big break. But here we go. It was a decent little match. After that, Nathalie Rose starts to beat up Tony Storm, and Thunder Rosa comes out to help her. Tony Storm grabs the belt and then gives it back to Thunder Rosa, and they have a stare down, and it looked like Thunder Rosa was tearing Tony Storm a new one. It really did. But cool, yeah. After that, we got Jericho and Lance Archer versus Mox and Tanahashi. Definitely star value in this match for sure, no doubt about that. But yeah, let's get right into it. Lance Archer hits a full Nelson Slam on Hiroshi Tanahashi and then tags in Jericho. Jericho and Lance Archer are cutting off the ring from the baby faces. I love to see that. Love me some tag team wrestling when it's done right. What do we got here? Tanahashi then eventually gets the hot tag. Mox escapes, and then he takes out both of the heels. Tanahashi hits a second rope senton for 2. Then Chris Jericho hits a codebreaker for 2. Chris Jericho misses the Judas effect, and Tanahashi hits a flying crossbody. Jericho rolls through and then locks in the walls. And after some struggle, Mox breaks it up with a cutter. Love a cutter. I mean, who doesn't love a cutter? And I love that he's implementing that into his moveset. He's definitely been using that a lot more lately. It looks great. Looks absolutely beautiful. Whoa. What the fuck was that? Moxley hits a paradigm shift, and Tanahashi hits a frog splash for the win. After that, Eddie Kingston comes out and tries to take out Chris Jericho, and Sammy Guevara and Wheeler Yuta come out. After that, Minoru Suzuki come out, and Shuto Umino come out, and it is absolute chaos as the officials come out, try to break it up, and we eventually go off air. Would love to see what happened after it cut. I haven't seen a video out yet on the interwebs, but I'm sure that'll be coming out soon. But yeah, overall, it was a decent little episode of Dynamite. Definitely a go-home show-esque type thing. I was thinking that go-home shows are very much like previews because I feel like a lot of the time you can kind of figure out who's going to win based on the go-home show alone. But yeah, definitely decent little Dynamite. And I'm surprised with all the multi-man tag matches that AEW is having lately and the amount that they're having at Forbidden Door. That might just be to get all the names in on the pay-per-view, which is probably it, yeah. But yeah, we've been seeing a lot of multi-man tag matches lately. Cool. That's that's pretty good, I guess. Match of the night, probably, what do we got here? Orange Cassidy and Roppongi Vice versus Will Ospreay and Aussie Open. Just the best high spots, and we're heel turns and high spots here. Best promo, definitely Jon Moxley. And yeah, the first half was definitely the best half of the show. And yeah, this isn't arguably like the best Dynamite ever or anything, but definitely a solid little show for sure. But yeah, that's all from me. Once again, we got my personal Twitter here and the account Twitter right here. And thank you guys so much for watching. Treat each other with respect and support your local independent wrestling. I will talk to you next after Forbidden Door, so probably a stream on Monday. If I know that Freeman wants to do it, so we might have to do it a few days after. We'll have to see. I don't know what his work schedule is. But yeah, he definitely wants to be in on the Forbidden Door stream, so I will definitely make that happen for sure. And if that means pushing it back a few days, I will accommodate that for sure. Just because I miss having him around, it's tough talking to yourself for 25 minutes. But yeah, that's all for me. Thank you guys so much for watching.